Hello everyone. I am only just beginning with the unveiling of Thalem around the world. It's going to tear down a lot of people's conspiracy theories. I'm just going to do away with all of that bull crap with what I have to show you. But I need to stop right now because Mercury's fixing to stop and go forward. Tomorrow, Mercury will come to a standstill as he finishes his retrograde on the 15th and begins to move forward. When Mercury comes to a stop, that power intensifies. So literally, this is going to be the only day left until Mercury leaves Pisces that we will almost have an authentic Mercury, because he's debilitated here. But when he stops, that energy is intensified. And as you can see, for the next few hours here tonight, the moon will be affecting that last portion of the retrograde, taking us backwards in review. And that is not even the big news. Mercury coming out of retrograde is the good news. Here's the bad news. On the 17th this week, Saturn goes retrograde. In your natal chart, if Saturn is retrograde, you tend to have a dual destiny. And it's really your choice, because people who have authority over you tend to take advantage of you. It designates abuse. And also in Saturn returns, it designates abuse. In your second Saturn return, it moves from your childhood into your workplace, or depending upon the constellation, even home. And we can identify abusive relationships by that means. What does it mean by dual destiny of a Saturn retrograde? Well, one, you can become the thing you hate. You are abused as a child, so you perpetrate that same abuse as an adult on other children. You become the thing. What we're supposed to do in our true destiny is to overcome, to do not become the thing that you hate. When you have a Saturn retrograde in your natal chart, to me, that is a big test. And why do these things happen to me as a child? They're there to test you. You cannot become the thing you hate. You must overcome it, and not even just overcome it, but stand against it. Having experienced it, you know the truth about abuse. And even neglect is abuse. So how does that affect us here with this Saturn retrograde? There's a couple of things going on. One, I always look at it as, okay, we've been over this area one time, you didn't get it right, so we're going to go back and do it again. We tried to do this the easy way, now he's forcing the hard way of learning to purge these ideologies, which is exactly what I am doing. As he goes retrograde, people are going to get out of control, especially people in authority, people who, I'm going to even step it up and say it here, those in Leo have the most to lose. You need to, and those in the fire signs, because it's in fire, you need to control your tempers. Watch your tongue, Mercury debilitated, and watch your actions. Mars is there in fire. I mean, this can get pretty explosive because people are going to stop talking because Mercury is still debilitated, and because Mars is here, they're going to take physical action and abuse people. So be careful. If someone wrongs you, let it go. Do not join in on the confrontation at this time. Just don't do it. And unfortunately, this retrograde is going to continue all summer until September. So this is a time of one great testing on both parts. Those doing the abusing and the Mars reaction of those being abused. Everybody needs to learn some damn self-control. Choose your words carefully with this Mercury debilitated. And even when Mercury comes out of Pisces debilitation, he's going into fire. And that's that fire-breathing dragon. You can take your words and just burn somebody to the ground. Don't do it. This is a test. You are being tested. At the same time, you're being given a second chance to get this right. The purging with Pluto on that mutable cross, Uranus on that mutable cross. Get it out of your systems. Do your shadow work. Watch what you do and what you say, because Saturn's leading this charge, and he rules karma. You will reap what you sow. When you spread hate, it is coming to nest in your house. Fair warning. Because this is not going to be easy, especially during the summer months, and so much in fire, that Mars, Saturn, Pluto. You have Jupiter. Is he still retrograde? Because we've been able to think out of the box. I need to keep a more eye on the charts, but I've been so inundated with, one, being sick, two, doing other people's charts, three, and most importantly to me, all of this new information that's been revealed to me. The putting of the puzzle together, realizing who is who. Let's see if Jupiter is still retrograde. Yes, Jupiter is still retrograde. So we're going through, a Saturn, Jupiter, both double retrograde. And we'll experience this a couple of times between now and 2020. They'll do another retrograde dance right before the winter solstice of 2020. So this will give you a general idea of what a Saturn-Jupiter double retrograde will feel like. Luckily, Jupiter being retrograde in Venus's house of the hidden wisdom of the heavens gives us the opportunity to think out of the box instead of react instantly with that Mars in fire. Your actions should be in your mind. It should be thought. Think about it. Don't do it. Consider other people's feelings. Emotions are going to be running high. People won't need an excuse. They're just going to pop. You run into them in the line, and they're going to just waylay all over you. Don't react back. Even if somebody punches you, take the higher hand, be the one that apologizes. Karma will pay off for you, and the dirty deeds they do will nest in their own house. Another thing about this Mars in fire, I want to talk about the thumbs ups and the thumbs downs. When you start watching other people's videos, the thumbs up, that's Mars when you're talking about the like and the dislike. But the thumb is Mars. So even if you dislike a video at this time, I would ask you, my advice is keep your peace. Don't even thumbs down. You don't want that energy bouncing back. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and coming back to nest in your home. Because it's not going to be pretty with all this fire. And then when Mercury next month moves into Aries, it's going to move from a physical state to a very volatile verbal state. Uranus doing its job of purging this age. It's changing right before our eyes. Pluto changing our ideologies, getting rid of the old ways. We must allow this magical alchemical wheel to do its proper work. And like Saturn, it will either make you or break you. And understand, like what I just went through, when you are weak, his spirit is strong. And that's when the information comes. As long as you are building yourself up, ego, you are tearing him down. So I actually began to embrace what was happening to me because of the information that was coming as my ego shut down and everything that was going on in my life had to come to a halt. And there was nothing but quiet. Nothing coming in, nothing going out. And then he began to show me where he is all over the world and through the ages and the different myths and tales that speak of Thalem. Of course, in Arabic we talked about this, and they give us this over here. In the Arabic, they tell us it's translated the mouth of the fish up here in the left. But that's the Greek. That's a Fomalhaut translation, because Thalem in Arabic is the educator, the instructor, the teacher. And this being that fish tongue in the mouth of what I'm now going to call the Inca. And I have an alchemical reason. It truly might be. It is not Mayan. That I'm positive of. That is the illusion that was given to us by the powers that be. Those who want to keep this hidden. But, and then others, they're with the iconography, it can be related to Aztec, which alchemically would fit. It's the AZ, the Alpha, the Omega, the first, the last, the cross, the T, and the K, the spirit. But I am more and more leaning toward this thing is Incan. And I'll get to why I believe it's Inca later. But regardless, all of them are connected. Just like the lion laying down with Thalem, the Regulus Fomalhaut fixed pole of the heavens. We're going to also have a Uranus-Sun conjunction right there on the 16th, right as Saturn stops before he goes retrograde. And when Saturn stops, woohoo, that's like Mars stopping. The power is intensified on that day more than any other day. So you'll feel a big blow on the 16th. When we talk about the 17th, we're talking about tax day. Saturn's going retrograde. It used to be the 15th, but the government loves to switch days around. And they have their reasons for doing it. Mercury still in that belly of the whale that Jonah had to endure. You see it falls. Let me back him up to today, and you can see how he's starting, as I move forward, how he's coming out of his retrograde. He takes that dip down as he comes out of the belly of the whale. So there's a lot on the agenda. Venus fixing to move into her own house. So much going on. let's switch it back over to our Wheel of Confusion. You know, down here on the bottom of this, you get Western H.A. Ray. This is the one from the little coloring books they gave us as children. You remember McGuffey's? Wow. Things are getting crazy already. Actually, they have been. When we were children, and they began, well, I'm the end of the baby boomers, right? And that's when they began putting horoscopes into the newspapers. And that was when Neptune entered Libra, that hidden wisdom of the heavens. They began to reveal this information. Unfortunately, they did it with tropical astrology. But we must start somewhere. It is good that we know all sides. Even the Lamb told us that all script is good for edification if you know how to read it. Now, H.A. Ray, when they give it, as children, they gave us the connect the dots in kindergarten and the first grade as we were reading See Spot Run, these little coloring pictures in our programming, and they used this man's depiction of the constellations to do that. So it would be helpful to actually learn those, because they are very different than what we are given from the ancient traditions. These symbols are way, way off. But this is what they are leaning towards. We need to know their interpretations, their symbols, and the ancient ones as well, to learn the differences between them. Oh, I don't want to go to Arabic. I wanted to go to the Greco-Roman, Persian amalgamation that we're shown. And as you can see here, the symbols are built in. That's how they're doing it. Take all that away. I think I pretty much covered what I wanted to say where the zodiac is concerned, for that at least this week, with Mercury coming out of retrograde, Jupiter in retrograde, and Saturn going retrograde. It is just a season of retrogrades. And ironically enough, it is the three most important planets, those who affect us. That's Saturn, Jupiter, and then Mercury. Him moving the fastest with the moon affect us, and then the two big boys directing the world stage of Jupiter and Saturn. All right, well, I'm going to jump right back into revealing Thalum around the world and through the ages, and all of the iconography and the stories. And I'm fixing to introduce you to Thalum in the Mesopotamian story of the Anunnaki. Get ready.